Welcome to Parent Connection. My name is Rhonda Evans. I'm the Godley ISD Coordinator for Counseling Services in Character and Leadership Development. This is part one of a series of presentations I would like to provide for you on topics that are important and informative. So let's get started. Tonight we are discussing vaping, what parents and schools need to know. In today's discussion, we will begin with defining and describing what vaping is, the various kinds of vaping devices, and how they work, as well as vaping's appeal, especially for youth. There's a great deal of discussion and misinformation in the news about the relative safety of vaping, including the actions the federal government and others are taking to safeguard the public. Lastly, we will talk about how to protect our young people and actions school professionals and parents can take if teens have begun vaping. We will begin with some vaping basics. What is vaping? Vaping is inhaling an aerosol using an e-cigarette or similar device. In most devices, puffing activates the heating component, which vaporizes the liquid or oil in the cartridge. The person then inhales and exhales the resulting aerosol. What's good about e-cigarettes, if there is anything, is that they do not produce tobacco smoke, which is the most dangerous component of smoked cigarettes. But the term vaping is misleading because these devices don't produce pure water vapor. The aerosol actually consists of many chemicals and fine particles, many of which are toxic and dangerous and seep deep into the lungs and bloodstream when vaped. There have been several generations of vape devices. The first generation looked like cigarettes, including having the end light up with a red glow. Later versions offered the capability to recharge and reuse the unit. Second generation devices offered longer battery life and the ability to use e-liquids of choice. Third generation devices called mods look like a walkie-talkie, have a longer battery charge, and the ability to customize many of the component parts. These devices produce the huge clouds of vapor that you might see. The fourth generation products are pod-based. They look like flash drives, are rechargeable using USB ports, and use disposable pods that contain flavorings, nicotine, or THC. Juul. It's considered the iPhone of vapes. Juul, currently the most popular brand of vape devices on the market, has a sleek design which is easy to conceal. Juul initially offered a variety of kid flavors like mango, mint, and fruit. Pressure from the U.S. government resulted in Juul being forced to only manufacture menthol and tobacco flavors. All of them contain nicotine, and each pod that is used has a dose of nicotine equivalent to a pack of cigarettes or more. Juul's product also uses nicotine salts with the dual purpose of providing for smoother inhalation and increasing the intake of nicotine. Today you will find vapes that come in designs disguised to look like everyday items like Apple Watches, backpacks, lipstick, hoodies, highlighters, Sharpies, and iPhone cases, making them increasingly difficult to detect. Let's put it this way, if you see them putting it in their mouth, you might just want to do a double take just to be sure. There are four kinds of e-liquids most commonly used for vaping. There are more than 15,000 flavored e-liquids which are appealing to kids. Examples would be cotton candy, grape, and even Skittles flavored. Flavored e-liquids with varying amounts of nicotine, e-liquids with vitamins and essential oils like B12 and melatonin. Marijuana can be vaped in dry leaf, wax, also known as dabs, and oil forms, and in many cases with flavorings. Now let's look at the nicotine comparison. This compares the concentrations of nicotine in pods as compared to traditional cigarettes. The newer vape devices hold more nicotine than most traditional cigarettes. For example, each Juul pod contains 41.3 milligrams of nicotine, which is equal to smoking 26 to 40 conventional cigarettes, depending on how they are puffed. Other companies on the market are providing even higher concentrations of nicotine, as pictured here. These are some of the devices used to vape marijuana and its concentrates. The one on the left is a PAX. This can be used to vape both dry leaf marijuana and oils, although it is relatively costly at over $200. The device next to it is used for dabs. Dabs are also known as wax, and they are concentrates of THC placed directly onto the coils of the vape device, and when heated, produce vapor for inhalation. The third device is used with THC oils, the active ingredient in marijuana, and it's housed within the cartridge. The one on the right is actually not a vape device, but rather an inhaler called the Aero Inhaler. It comes in flavors like grape ape, sour diesel, and tangerine haze. The company advertises it as providing metered doses to consumers. It's also something that's available for purchase in recreational dispensaries wherever marijuana is legally sold. This picture is of a disposable vape pen on the left and a cartridge on the right, and it's for sale online on the Ease website with THC potency upward of 70%. By comparison, the average potency of THC in dry leaf marijuana is about 17%. Like nicotine, we are seeing greater concentrations of THC in newer products. And the bad thing is, Ease promotes their products as health products with ads like, "Hello marijuana, goodbye anxiety," or "Hello marijuana, good night insomnia." There are many slang terms young people use to describe vaping that you might find in a teenager or young person's text or on social media. I won't read them all to you, but I would like to highlight a couple of them. Cloud chasing is when users adapt their hardware with a liquid of choice in order to produce those large, thick clouds that I was talking about earlier. Dripping is the process of manually applying the e-cigarette liquid directly onto the coil, and that not only makes those big clouds but also enhances the effects. Here are a few different brand names. Juul is very popular among middle school and high school students, with 1 in 5 students between the ages of 12 and 17 reporting having seen a Juul used in school. This popularity might be attributed to the company's aggressive marketing of buying ad space in such places as 17 Magazine, Nickelodeon, Nick Jr., and various game sites created for middle and high school students. As I said before, dripping is a term you might hear young people using, and one of the reasons for the appeal of dripping among adolescents may be related to the ability to create vape tricks, because dripping produces those larger, thicker clouds of vapor. Unfortunately, there are a multitude of videos on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, various other social media locations demonstrating these tricks, and there are various websites that promote which ones are the best tricks, and young people are strongly influenced by these social media outlets. So, how do youth get vape products if you have to be 21 to make the purchase? It's relatively easy for youth to get vape products despite efforts to reduce access among young people. Selling any tobacco product, including e-cigarettes, to anyone under age 21 is illegal according to federal law as of December 2019. However, clerks at tobacco shops, vape stores, gas stations, and convenience stores do not always follow the law. A recent national survey of middle and high school students found that among those who reported using e-cigarettes in the past 30 days, 59% got them from a friend, 17% from a vape shop, 13% from a family member, 10% from a gas station or convenience store, and 9% from someone who is not a family member or friend. About 6% got them online. Although few kids buy them online, another study found that doing so is pretty easy with a 90% success rate since websites may not be monitored for underage purchasing. Kids have also been known to go onto Snapchat or Instagram and purchase them. The product is either then picked up by the buyer or delivered to them. This process is extremely dangerous because there is no guarantee what is in these products. Why is vaping so appealing to teens and young people? Why do teens vape? A 2019 national survey of middle and high school students who reported using e-cigarettes found that the most commonly selected reasons for use were curiosity, 55%, friend or family member uses, 31%, flavors such as mint, candy, fruit, or chocolate, 22%, and vaping tricks, 21%. And the picture on the right is a young girl doing what is called the dragon, which is a popular vaping trick. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the vaping industry. It is a business, and it generates approximately $22 billion in output each year. Like cigarette companies, vape companies have focused their efforts on young people. Why? Because getting a person to start as a teen can make a lifetime customer. It's well known among health professionals and the tobacco industry alike that adolescence is the peak time period to develop addiction. The vast majority of adult smokers started smoking during adolescence, and nearly all people with nicotine addiction began smoking before age 21. During the teen and young adult years, the brain is undergoing significant changes. Teens are becoming more efficient and developing critical thinking skills. Exposure to any addictive product, including nicotine or marijuana, at any early age makes the brain more susceptible to the continued use of the product and addiction. By planting the seeds for nicotine addiction as early as possible, the tobacco industry has tremendous incentive to bring its decades of experience and insights into how best to hook young people on nicotine and hide the harms associated with nicotine products. Not surprisingly, the major cigarette companies either have big stakes in or already own many of the more popular vape brands. They are targeting the age group they've traditionally relied on to sustain their business, teens and young adults, as well as current heavy smokers. They're also helping to bolster the future market for their cigarettes by addicting young people to nicotine through vaping. They benefit as these same kids switch to cigarette smoking or use both products simultaneously, which most people who vape end up doing. Either way, cigarettes or vapes, these companies gain customers and make billions. Here are some examples of the similarities in some cases between cigarette and e-cigarette ads. In each of these panels, the image on the left is a classic cigarette ad, while the image on the right is a comparable ad for a vaping product. Like they did for cigarette ads for years and years, they use celebrity spokespeople. They feature good-looking models. They advertise on social media channels popular with youth. And they sponsor sports events and musical festivals where young people attend. Some vaping companies, in this case Juul, design the packaging of their products in a way that closely resembles popular cigarette brand designs. These companies also are appealing to a younger client by creating vape products with kid-friendly designs. Vaping products come in a broad array of unmistakably child-friendly flavors, often packaged to resemble well-known candy products. There are literally thousands of flavors available, many with very delicious names, including mango, apple pie, milk chocolate, peanut butter cup, as well as unicorn puke and zombie juice. Why are flavors so important? They mask the harsh taste of nicotine and other chemicals, making it easier to inhale the aerosol. Sweet, fun flavors also appeal to kids because they are associated with positive childhood experiences. And kids assume the product is less harmful because of the flavorings. In January 2020, the FDA announced that it would prioritize enforcement against illegally marketed flavored cartridge-based electronic nicotine devices. However, as of February 2020, sweet and candy-flavored e-cigarette liquids were still available in retail outlets that sold tobacco. In January 2022, a report called for the FDA to deny authorization to all flavored e-cigarettes, including menthol-flavored products. The Food and Drug Administration in June of 2024 said it has sent warning letters to dozens of retailers selling fruit and candy-flavored disposable e-cigarettes, including the current best-selling brand Elf Bar, which is manufactured in China. As you can see, the FDA has not made much progress in the area of enforcement. Let's take a quick look at the statistics. In 2022, over 3 million United States youth reported using a commercial tobacco product. 27.1% reported using tobacco in general. 20.8% reported e-cigarettes. 8.1% reported cigarettes. 7.6% reported using cigars. 5.9% smokeless tobacco. 4.1% a hookah. 1.1% pipe tobacco. In 2023, a New York Times survey reported that more than 2.1 million youth currently use e-cigarettes, with a decline in high school students currently using in 2022-2023. They reported the most popular brands were Elf Bar, Escobars, Views, Juul, and Mr. Fogg. And 9 out of 10 of them reported using flavored e-cigarettes. The Monitoring the Future survey from the National Institute on Drug Abuse is an annual survey of over 42,000 8th, 10th, and 12th graders. The survey showed vaping marijuana has increased significantly. In fact, there has been a more than 50% increase in the number of 10th and 12th graders reporting that they now vape marijuana. So how is this affecting their health? At this point, given our current knowledge, e-cigarettes may be less harmful than regular cigarettes because they don't burn tobacco, which accounts for much of the health risk of smoking. But that doesn't mean there are no health risks. Many young people think that vaping produces clouds of water droplets, but that isn't accurate. It's more like the aerosol from hairspray. Although the chemicals that have been found in e-cigarette aerosols might seem unrecognizable, many of them are very dangerous and can be found in other household products. For example, propylene glycol can be found in antifreeze products or in substances used to winterize plumbing systems. Acetone is commonly found in nail polish remover and as paint thinner. Ethylbenzene is often used to make other chemicals. It's also found in pesticides, synthetic rubber, varnishes, paints, and inks. Formaldehyde-based solutions are used in embalming to disinfect and temporarily preserve human and animal remains. And rubidium is a chemical that can be used to give fireworks their bright colors. Sadly, this picture is often what I think of when I see someone with a vaping device. And I wonder, do they realize that these are all the chemicals that they're putting into their bodies? But even if vaping is not quite as harmful as cigarettes, there is still reason for concern. Let's review why this increasing trend in youth vaping is so troublesome. Despite what many people think, nicotine itself is harmful. The chemicals used in e-liquids are highly concentrated, and many are dangerous when inhaled. Vaping makes the transition to cigarette smoking easier and quadruples the likelihood that a teen will take up cigarette smoking. Many teens and adults who vape are dual users, meaning they both vape and smoke cigarettes, significantly doubling their risk. Vaping is associated not only with cigarette smoking and other substance use, but with an increased risk of addiction, both nicotine addiction and addiction to other drugs. And finally, it has been linked to a host of mental health problems. You may have heard reports of vaping-related serious lung disease and even deaths throughout the country. The symptoms include shortness of breath, unexplained weight loss, fatigue, and gastrointestinal issues. This spate of illnesses and deaths has been given a name by the CDC, E-Valley. The statistics as of February 2020 are that nearly 70 people had died and more than 2,800 had fallen ill from a vaping-related lung illness. Most of the illnesses and deaths traced to the use of black market THC, but not all. It's believed that vitamin E acetate, which is a cutting agent to make the e-liquid look thicker and to adjust the THC potency, is the primary culprit. Researchers and regulators are carefully looking at vaping devices in their effort to determine the source of the outbreak of lung injuries. Many of the devices are manufactured in China without U.S. government or third-party safety checks. When the metal coils of electronic cigarettes heat up to turn e-liquids into aerosols, toxic metals can leach into the liquid, leading to a rare condition usually only seen in industrial metal workers. A Harvard study found that 76% of the e-liquids analyzed contained diacetyl, a food flavoring that gives foods buttery flavor. Popcorn lung is an illness linked to diacetyl, a condition first identified among popcorn factory workers who inhaled the chemical in the workplace. It results in a form of bronchiolitis where the inhaled chemical scars lung tissue, making it difficult to breathe. The vaping industry has maintained that the amount of diacetyl exposure from cigarette smoking is significantly higher than exposure from vaping. Canadian doctors reported that a 17-year-old boy who had been vaping flavorings and THC spent 47 days in the hospital and narrowly avoided needing a double lung transplant. This brings us to the question, what can we as parents and school officials do? Here's a classic plan for preventing substance use in teens and young adults. Start talking to students in middle school about the risks of vaping. Educate and increase awareness of actual short and long-term harm. The most effective way we can educate teenagers is by showing them that these companies, both the classic tobacco industry as well as the vaping companies, are trying to get them addicted to their products so that they'll use them for a long time. Reduce access and availability. Report gas stations and convenience stores near the school or your home that may be selling products to these students. School counselors can help with early detection of risk, like anxiety and depression, and utilize health-based interventions that promote cessation and improved mental health. And what messages can we convey directly to teens that might help? Well, don't let big businesses like the tobacco industry take advantage of you. Don't be fooled by influencers and social media promotions. Their goal is to make money. Protect the environment from plastic waste, from cannabis packaging, and the electronic cigarette cartridges used for vaping. Make smart and healthy choices. You only have one brain and body, and at this stage, they are in pretty great condition, so why mess with it? Sharing messages associated with the health effects seem to resonate most for teens. What can schools do? Be attuned to popular vaping locations on campus and intervene appropriately. Educate staff on the harms of vaping and how to recognize it in the classroom and elsewhere on school property. Host community events to educate parents and caregivers. Many schools have held panels including clinicians, pulmonologists, and substance use experts to explain the basics and the risk of vaping and how to respond. Rather than punish students who are vaping, identify students in need of help and get them treatment. Lastly, share community resources such as professional counseling supports, quit lines, and support groups. Here and on the next slide, I'm sharing some youth-oriented presentations, curricula, and other materials and resources for schools to use with students. I'll also share some additional resources. The Partnership to End Addiction has a downloadable guide available dedicated to this issue, as well as countless other valuable resources for parents and communities on vaping, marijuana, and other teen substance use. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has great facts and statistics on youth and adult vaping. The Tobacco Prevention Toolkit by researchers at Stanford has a significant unit on vaping and Juuls. Frequently updated, it has photos, charts, and points of discussion. The Truth Initiative, the nonprofit organization behind the extremely successful youth tobacco prevention campaign, has expanded its quit smoking resources to include an e-cigarette quit program. This free text message program was created with input from teens, college students, and young adults who have attempted to or successfully quit e-cigarettes. My efforts here are to engage you, encourage you, and provide support. I hope you found this message beneficial. Please feel free to contact me or any of your campus counselors if you or your child needs assistance. Thank you.